start recording. So, hi everyone. I think it's 2 o'clock now. Everyone, welcome. And Dr. Ala will lead this meeting. So, present as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Alab Samad, and hi, Dr. Nader. This is the first time we meet together. And hello, everyone. Today, the Brown team will conduct the meeting. I will present the EMB, which is the evidence-based medicines, and Dr. Avinash will present the professionalism in medicines, and Dr. Sarah will present the interview skills. And please, meanwhile, anyone have any questions, just don't hesitate to raise your hand. Okay, then we'll start. Okay, the evidence-based medicines. The question is, hold on 1 second. Okay, what is the evidence-based medicine? Anyone has any idea? No one? Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. The evidence-based medicine, it is the integration of the best research evidence and with the clinical expertise and the patient values. We can see here the evidence-based medicine, it is the intersection between the clinical expertise and the best research evidence and the patient values. Okay, then we will go through every component in details. First component, it is the evidence. What do you mean by the evidence? This is the finding from the patient-centered clinic research that is relevant to the patient care, either included or we found these evidence either by searching in the systemic review and the meta-analysis or by applied research from the labs, either conducted in the animals or anything, or from the experimental and observation study like cohort study, case control, and the meta-analysis. The second component is the clinical expertise or the circumference. What's meant by the clinical expertise? This is the insight and the intuitions acquired by the seasoned clinician through the extensive interactions with the patient and the seeing the outcome obtained from the various interventions. And what is the clinical circumstance? Here, prefer to the setting in which the care is provided. Here we look where or what is the setting. Like, for example, either in the primary care facilities or in the urgent care center or in the hospital emergency department, hospice, and others. The patient's values and the preference, this is the first component. It's a subjective beliefs, attitudes, and culture, and the spiritual factor related to the healthcare choices. With the input from the patients about their beliefs and desire, the clinicians run the risk of doing things to the patient rather for the patients. Okay, we have the steps in practicing the evidence-based medicines, which is the 5 A's, and which stands for. First of all, we start doing the ask clinical questions, and then acquire the best evidence, and then next, the appraise the evidence, and then apply these evidence that we already collected to the patient care, and then assess your patients and evaluate your patient and see the outcome. Okay, we'll start and explain every steps in details and briefly. We'll start beginning from the ask or how we can ask the research questions or clinical questions. First steps, ask and answerable questions. Please be careful that because I will doing some review at the end. Just pay attention to be it like interactive session more than passive learning. We go through the PICO strategies, which is the stand for the B for the patient or the population that we want to conduct the research to. The I, the intervention, which is intervention we want to introduce us to this research. And then the C is comparisons. We have to compare the patients or whatever is the thing, the outcome. We want to either compare the outcome or comparing the interventions, or we want to compare it with the other patient or placebo patient or placebo, sorry. And the outcome, it will be the finding, either like the side effects, it's preventable or not, if the medication it will lead to recure the disease or not, if it's diagnostic test, if it will like use it as a screen tools or anything. Here we will do it as an example. For example, we have research questions is not following the PICO strategies, which is what is the best treatments for the heart failure. Okay, this is just simple questions, but without any PICO strategies. If we want to apply the PICO strategies in these questions, first of all, we have to put which patients we want to study. Either here, the elderly with a systolic heart failure. And the I, which stands for the intervention. Here we wanted to test the ACE inhibitor uses. And the C, it is the comparison. And here we will compare the placebo with the elderly or the patient like elderly with the systolic heart failure. And the outcome, if this ACE inhibitor, it will reduce the mortality or not. Okay, then let's see how the question will turn from not using the PICO with using the PICO. In elderly patients with the systolic heart failure, do the ACE inhibitor reduce the mortality rate, for example, in the comparison to the placebo? Here, this is the example of the question that we usually concerning. First, the clinical evidence, like how to gather the clinical finding properly and interrupt them. The diagnosis, like how to select and interrupt the diagnostic test. And the prognosis, like how to anticipate the patient's likely courses. The therapy, this is the most common questions. Usually we use it like how to select the treatment that's do more good than harm. And also we can questions like about the prevention, like how to screen and reducing the risk of disease. And the education, like how to teach ourselves, the patients and the families what is needed. Step 2 from the 5 E's, it should acquire the evidence. And what's mean by the acquired evidence? That we have to collect or bring how the long as we can from the informations, either by using the secondary resources like in the PubMed, InPace or Cochrane Library and the Google Scholars, and either the textbooks, but this is not considered the information that is in the textbooks usually is not updated. And also we use the validity filter to narrow the result. Like for example, if we search in the PubMed regarding the heart failure, for example, we will find 10,000 research regarding these topics. But if we, for example, do it the same like here, the PQ, like in the patients with the heart failure, elderly, we choose if it's like systemic review or meta-analysis, or we put more filters. It will narrow our result. Okay, now we have the evidence. What should do for this? We have to ask this or have to answer these questions regarding the evidence that we collected. If this evidence is valid, like if this is good quality studies and well designed or not, and its impact, like the size of the effect or the benefit, or does the research suggest a clear and the useful plan of action? And the last thing, the applicability. Is this thing that we wanted to research applicable or not? Like, can the results of the study be applied to my patients, or are the people in the study like me, like my patients? When we collect the evidence, we have to look to the hierarchy of the evidence. We can see here the pyramid. The bottom of the pyramid usually is ideas or opinions and reviews, and the more concise, like case report series, cross-sectional, case control, cohort, and the randomized clinical trial. And in the top or the best evidence, it is the systemic review and the meta-analysis of these randomized clinical trials. If you wanted to compare this regarding the quality of the evidence and the basic of the risk for bias story, we found the bottom of the pyramids usually has a higher biases but lower quality of evidence. But in the top, we have a higher quality of evidence and the lower biases. That means our target, it will be the top of the pyramids. Okay, the step 4 and 5, which is applying and access the evidence. Okay, this involves applying the collected evidence to facilitate the patient care. Now we will apply these evidence to the patient's care, but before that we have a lot of factors to consider when applying the evidence. First of all, we have to look for the external validators, as we discussed. If this evidence is a clinical and statistically significant or not, and also the patient's goods, desires, and values. Okay, and then now we are ready to apply this to the patient's care. And then after that, we do the assessment, which should involve the evaluation of the patient after applying the evidence-based decision. Okay, we have a key points about the evidence-based medicine. Okay, the first point, we have to know like all the evidence is not alike. Some evidence is better than other evidence. We have two values between each evidence. And then when the doctor look at the research before they recommending a treatment, they are using the evidence-based medicine. And also the evidence-based medicine look at all the research that there is about a disease or the treatment. When the researchers look at whether the treatments works, they look at many more patients than a single doctor will ever treat. Sometimes the evidence cannot tell you which treatment is best for you, so it's important that you weigh up the benefit and the harms of the treatments carefully. Just keep in mind this key point. We have, unfortunately, we have also limitation for these evidence-based medicine, which is the time consuming, which is the time we take it for research and also for applying to the patient and then conduct the evaluation. This is a really time consuming. And also is required access to the medical literature and requires some knowledge of the statistics. Also, we have a publication biases and also conflict of interest, because some clinicians, they have, they don't agree of these interests. We're almost to the end of our sessions. Just we are recapping what we said here. Okay, anyone can tell me what did the PICO stand for?
PICO stands for P for population, intervention, comparison, and outcome.
Good, thank you. And what is the 5 A's, which is the step to apply this evidence-based medicine?
I can answer half the question. Is that okay?
Okay.
Ask.
Yes.
Yeah, ask a question, apply, and appraise the questions. Yeah, I need help at this point.
Thank you, Abir. And also like apply and assessment. You got it, thank you. Okay, the PICO here, patients or the population, I for intervention, C is the comparison, and O is outcome. Okay, here we have a clinical scenario. We will try to apply the PICO in this question. Okay, a 30-year-old female presented with the recurrent UTI for the past 8 months. These episodes have been treated with several courses of antibiotics but keep recurring. She asked if recurrence can be prevented by using the antibiotics or not. Okay, who can tell me who is the patients targeted here?
middle-aged female patient
With recurrent UTI.
with recurrent UTI.
Thank you. And what is the intervention here?
The antibiotic.
Antibiotic.
Excellent. And what is the comparison people here?
Middle-aged female without recurrent UTI.
Yes, without UTI. And what is the outcome? I don't know. It's not working, but we have all the outcome.
Prevention of UTI.
Okay, good. Yeah, there you go. Okay, as we said, thank you for answering. The B is the female patients with the recurrent UTI. The I is the prophylactic antibiotics, which is the intervention. C for no intervention, which is we compare it with the people with no intervention, and the O for no recurrence. And now the questions it will be, among female patients with the recurrent UTI, do the prophylactic antibiotic prevent the recurrence comparing to no intervention? We can see how is the difference in this research question. Okay, and as we said here, the 5 A's, which is ask, acquire, appraise, apply, and assess. And here, any question?
I have a question here, please. What do you think about what is the cons and pros of this evidence-based medicine?
I cannot hear you. Can you repeat your answer?
What is the pros and cons of evidence-based medicine?
Yeah, as we discuss here, there is the EMB will have these limitations. That is here. If you there's the limitation, which is we said it is a time-consuming. It need to be high knowledgeable with the medical literature and statistics and the publication basis and conflict. This is the side effects or the limitations for the EMB.
So what is the other part, the cons?
Yeah, the cons that is now instead we asking a general questions like in the, for example, patients we looking for patients with the heart failure, but now we being concise like females or elderly, with the heart failure, and now also we see treated with the ACE inhibitors. It's not like any heart failure, and also we compare it with the patients with the placebo. It's not with the, for example, other patients to avoid any biases. Okay, and Dr. Naders can answer these questions more better, I guess.
So thank you so much, Dr. Ala, for the concise and brief and excellent presentation. This is really interesting and important to know. And we ask you to present this because it's one of the things that you're gonna apply when you start your residency and when you practice as a practitioner. And the good question, thank you for raising this question, is why do we use this? And the reason I think it's important, and especially nowadays with all this information online, patient will access Google Sheet and Google and any website to get information, and then ask you about your management plan. So in the past, doctors are on top, they say anything, and patients and family will follow. That's like more than 20 years ago. Since the internet came, all this information became available to the public, and then this made it a little bit difficult for physicians to be on the same status where they say something and people who apply the respect they follow. Now there is a question and answer. So the latest approach is to be on the same level with your patients and family, so that you want to educate them about your plan and your management and the reason behind that, so that if they look at other resources, they come to the same conclusion. You want the best for the patient, and the patient will understand that and will follow your plan. So this is an important way of communicating to your patient using this tool, the people. You identify your patient, identify the problem, identify how this problem is solved using the latest research outcomes. And as Dr. Anna mentioned, so you want to look at the literature, you want to get the best evidence to support your treatment plan. And if you can come up with this, then you will have higher chance of convincing your patient and the family to follow your management plan. So this is the cons, the benefit of the evidence base. As Dr. Anna also mentioned, it may take some time of yours to search the evidence and you want to look at what population and compare what the evidence against the patient in question. So I just want to share with you when I started residency that several years ago, evidence base was there, and at the time when we see a patient, we round attending will round with us, and then he or she sometimes will ask these questions about, tell me more about the patient. So you go ahead, you start the story or the history, and then you tell about the examination that you found, and then you tell about the assessment, what do you think is going on, and you plan. Let's say you come across and you say, oh, this is the patient is in acute congestive heart failure. Then the question would be, what type of heart failure? Is it systolic, diastolic? So it's an acute, and then you have to figure out what that is. So how to figure it out? Then you look up. You may need to do an echo, for instance. So your answer will be, I will get an echo to identify. So you do the echo. It's come as systolic heart failure, acute exacerbation. So the question will be, so what are you going to do with this patient? So here comes the evidence-based approach. So you will give oxygen, you will give this, you will give this, but you want to validate that with the research part. So when you look up the evidence, you will say, I want to see what's the management plan for treatment of acute systolic conscious heart failure. And then if you are looking at your patient is older patient as I mentioned, then you put that in the question and it will be a big question. And you will get some results out, and then you read about that. And when you start your management, you have the backup evidence for your plan. So during the round, the attendant will ask questions. We will be able to answer some of these questions. Some we will not be able to. Then at that moment, the attendant will say, can you figure it out? Can you find out and come back? Or if they ask me, for instance, I will say, I don't know now, but I will figure it out. I will come up with the answer tomorrow. So the next day when we're rounding, I will have my printout of certain articles answering that question. So I share this at the beginning of the round with the attending. I tell them that I found this article, this article, this article, the best way of managing acute exacerbation of congestive heart failure. Systolic is doing this. So we already started the patient management plan, and the patient will be on board with us or with the family out there. So it's kind of how you convince your patients to follow your plan. That's one major thing. The other thing to know is medicine is changing. Sometimes it's changing very fast. In the 80s, for instance, congestive heart failure, it's a no. You don't treat them with beta blocker at that time. When they did further studies, let's say in the 90s and then afterwards, then people were finding that actually beta blockers are benefiting patients with congestive heart failure. So they incorporated that into the plan of managing patients with congestive heart failure. Nowadays, research is going on, so your treatment 10 years ago might be different than your treatment the same condition nowadays. So to figure that out, you need to update yourself with the research, see what's the latest answer to your questions. Sorry, I gave you a long answer, but this is why we focus on evidence-based.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. It was very informative. Okay.
So I'm gonna share with you also one more thing, actually, just a little bit of the history. So evidence-based learning or evidence-based actually medicine start in the 90s, in 91 to be specific. But the father of the idea was Dr. David Scott, and he's from Canada. Actually, he's in McMaster University in Hamilton. So I want to focus at age 32. He was invited to this parliament, the McMaster, and that's because he's a very good physician, and he started seeing patients and trying to get the evidence for his treatment plan. And since then, it was applied and accepted in different settings and in different teaching hospitals. Then when you round with your attending, you'll be asked what's the evidence behind that. So it's gonna be common thing for you guys. Hopefully when you're in the residency, and you will have that. The other thing I want to share with you is at that time also a company called Up to Date started, maybe in the 2000 with the internet, maybe 2005 or so, and their job was to do what you want to get the answer for the same question. Let's say patient with congestive heart failure, systolic acute exacerbation in the elderly. So if you put that in the question here, then it will give you the latest literature supporting the management plan, let's say. So it's a subscription kind of service, and most of the residency program or big hospital, they have an institution prescription. So when you get into the residency, you will have an access or login information to this website where you just ask questions and they give you the answer. They make it easy instead of you go to Google Scholar or PubMed and ask a question and you'll have thousands of papers. This will be concise and to the point for you. So maybe you will come across this. It's called Up to Date. Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions? Okay, then we will move on to the next agenda with the Avinash. Avinash, you can start.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can see.
So professionalism in medicine. One by one, I can define the definition of that. The profession is actually a type of job that requires special education, training, knowledge, and technical skills. And what is a professional? That having a particular type of profession as a permanent career is professional person. And the last, professionalism, it is the conduct aims are qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person. And how we can define the professionalism in medicine. The professionalism medicine can be defined as a way the physician interact with the patients and the societies. It includes the values, behaviors, and attitudes which acquired during your medical school education, postgraduate training, and daily life experiences interacting with patients and physicians. It is not doing a particular type of job, but it is more about being a particular type of person. Now, the professionalism consists on altruism, accountability, excellence, duty, service, honor, integrity, and respect for others. I will define each of these one by one. So as you've seen in the picture, the professionalism is consistent of 4 pillars: accountability, altruism, excellence, and humanism. And these pillars are resides on sound understanding of ethics, having a good communication skills, and clinical competence. So the altruism is the essence of professionalism. Always take the decision in the best interest of the patient, not the self-interest. And it is always the rule. And the second one is accountability. Accountability means responsibility. We are the responsible to the society for the public health needs. We are accountable to the patients to uphold the patient's physician contract. And the excellence, we can say that the quality, it is commitment to excellence is an acknowledged goal for all the physicians. Duty, it is the acceptance of the commitment to the service, providing the best possible care regardless of the ability to pay, and volunteering one's skills and expertise for the welfare of the community. Another is the honor and integrity. It is the highest standard of the behavior and refuse to violate the one's own personal and professional code. In the respect, that is, we must respect the patients, families, nurses, medical students, and the colleagues. This is the essence of humanism. Humanism is turned in the central to professionalism and fundamental to enhance the collegiality among the physicians. Unfortunately, due to the explosion in the technology, changing the market forces, problem within the healthcare delivery, and now the bioterrorism, physicians find it increasingly more difficult to meet their responsibilities to the patients and society. Professionalism is composed of 3 fundamental principles and a set of professional responsibilities. Let me describe the 3 fundamental principles. These are the patient welfare, patient autonomy, and social justice. In the patient welfare, physician must be altruistic, like I discussed it before, like the decision we are taking always be in the best interest of the patient, not in the best interest of the physician. And care should not be dictated by any other outside forces like market, any society, or any administrative exigencies. In the patient autonomy, the physician must be honest with their patients and always encourage and empower the patients to make the informed decision about their care. And the physician should respect the patient's decision provided they are ethically sound and do not lead to demand for inappropriate care. And the last, the social justice. Physicians should promote the justice in the healthcare system, including the fair distribution of healthcare resources, and he should not eliminate and should eliminate the discrimination of healthcare delivery based on race, gender, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, religion, or any other social category.
أهلا كيف الأمور؟
Now I'm going to describe the top 10 professional responsibilities in the professionalism medicine. The first one is the commitment to the professional competency. The physician should maintain their knowledge and clinical skills day by day, and there must be lifelong learning. The commitment to the honesty with the patients, I discussed before, always informed consent, involve the patients in healthcare decision, If anything like mishaps occur, always inform the patients immediately. Third one is a commitment to the patient confidentiality. Always follow the HIPAA rule. Always avoid the elevator conversation about the patient's history, any verbal sign outs in the community areas. Always avoid the living paper sign outs which are easily accessible. Fourth one is a commitment to maintaining the appropriate relation with the patients. Patients are very vulnerable. They are very dependent. So never exploit the patients for sex, financial gain, or any personal interest. Fifth one is commitment to improving quality of care. Physicians work together with society and professional organizations to reduce the error, improve safety, and optimize their outcomes and minimize the overuse of healthcare resources. Sixth one is the commitment to improving access to the care. Physicians always should work to reduce any barrier which prevent the access to healthcare based on education, finances, geography, and social discrimination. Seventh one is commitment to a just distribution of the finite resources. For example, if we are working in a limited resources, the goal is to provide the healthcare which is based upon wise and cost-effective management of the limited clinical resources for cost-effective care. And the eighth one is a commitment to scientific knowledge. The profession is responsible for the integrity of knowledge based on scientific evidence and experiences. Ninth one is a commitment to maintain the trust by managing the conflict of interest, avoiding compromising one's integrity by entering the relationship with or for the profit industries, medical equipment manufacturers, insurance companies, drug companies, these things. And in the last, commitment to professional responsibilities, participate in self-regulation, including discipline of members who have failed to meet the professional standard. Be respectful of each other and always work to maximize the patient care. Professional. Okay, the challenges came in the professionalism in medicine, or we can say the person who have a lack of professionalism. These are the signs who have a lack of professionalism, like the abuse of power, arrogance, greed, mispresentation, impairment, lack of conscientiousness, and conflict of interest. I will discuss one by one. Abuse of power, like interaction with patients and colleagues, bias and sexual harassment, breach of confidentiality. These are the signs of abuse of power. If one who is on the position, head position, main position should not abuse their power. And the arrogance, like offensive display of the superiority, destroy professionalism by losing empathy for the patients. Greed, like money or power, when money or power becoming the driving force, and losing the understanding, compassion, and personal integrity. Must always ask, like, this is in the best interest of the patient, not my own financial interest. Mispresentation, which is consists of lying and fraud, and both are conscious efforts. Impairment, like physicians who are drug addicted, alcoholic, or mentally impaired physician protected or unnoticed by the colleagues and allowed to care for unsuspecting patients. Lack of conscientiousness, like the lack of honesty, failure to fulfill their responsibilities. For example, take least amount of history or refill the medications without reviewing chart and doesn't return the patient phone calls, etc. These all the comes in the lack of honesty. Conflict of interest, always avoid the situations in which the interest of the physician is placed above the patient, like doing self-promotion, acceptance of gift, utilization of services, always avoided. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avinash.
Yes,
This
any
is a really
question?
great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avinash. This is also great, concise, and excellent presentation. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
And this also important part, and I think we, as physicians, we need to focus on in this kind of characteristics. And sometimes you come up with all this as you went to education back home or here, you went to medical school, your family inserted some of these values in you and the community where you raised up. But here in the US, they want you to display all this, and you will be judged according to this professionalism trait or characteristics. I remember when I was doing my first year residency. So we were usually the first year is very tough. It's very stressful. Everyone is working hard, and the staff or the attending and the seniors will push you to the limit. And I can understand that they want you to learn. They want you to be as a self-learner. They can help you, but they want you to put a great effort, especially the first year. So all of my class mates were working hard, and myself I was trying my best. But remember, I was old grad at the time. All my classmates were just fresh. I think all of them I graduated within 1 or 2 years. Some of them international, some of them US. The only thing I want to share with you is an episode when one of my colleagues went to a conference, and that's not a medical conference. So he took his vacation time, let's say 1 or 2 weeks. He went to attend that conference. For some reason, he stayed longer than what he told the program staff or the program director. So the program director asked me if I can cover that person too until he comes back. And he came back finally, but I did my share, and I was doing an elective, and I was pulled out of that elective to do rounding the medicine hospital kind of rounds until that student came. When he came out, that physician, he did not have any clue or any excuse or any reason to at least tell the program director, hey, I was absent 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks. The last week I had this, whatever. If he come up with any reason, that would be a good professionalism. But if you show up and you expect you to work right away and you don't explain why you were late and thing, it's kind of the program staff of the program director will be upset with you. So it's better to be on the safe side. If things happen sometimes, you just explain in an email or just give a short call. Even if you contact your classmate, hey, this is what happened to me, can you cover or can help? Or your seniors can ask them to figure out what the best solution for that. But he did not do any of these, and we were wondering, is he alive or what's going on? So it's important to share these values and not only with treating your patients, but as a physician with your colleagues. And when you become an attending, you will become some of you might be interested in teaching. When you're rounding with your students, your residents, then you want to display all these qualities as well. One other story, some of the physicians, when they teach the residents, sometimes they push them to the limit, or they ask them questions and basically put them at the corner when they miss something. Let's say in the history, they can ask you, did you ask about this? Did you ask about this? And if you say no, they will ask you why you didn't. It's kind of degrading at that time. So you just take it with the intention that they want you to become a good physician. It's not they want you to down or something like that. And that way of teaching in the past was acceptable. Nowadays, I don't think it's acceptable. So there are ways of teaching nowadays. They want you to do it in different manners for medical students or for residents, fellows, and so forth. So you're gonna learn about this in the future as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. For sure, we'll apply your advice in our future. Anyone have any questions? Just let me check the chat box. Okay, no question. Then we can move on to the next agenda. Sarah Said, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. How are you, everyone? Allow me to share the screen first. Also, I apologize for the cat. She's joining us today. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So today we will be discussing together about the interview tips and tricks. So now we have received the long-awaited email. Congratulations, you're invited for an interview. So what can we do? What will we do next? So we, of course, need to prepare to be our best authentic selves. Our colleagues in the previous meetings discussed how we maintain our professional attire, prepare our background settings, lightings, and internet connections. We need to double check that everything is all right. And now we need to prepare for what we will discuss during the interview. This starts with searching the program we have received the interview invitation from. We need to have a look about the program mission, the curriculum, and the research interests of the faculty. And we need to find in these topics what aligns with our interests and career goals to be the points we will discuss with during the interview. As well, we need to prepare our sets of questions. We want to make sure that the interview is more conversational rather than kind of interrogation. For example, one of the interviews I had last year, my second question in the interview, do you have any questions for us? So be prepared for that. Maybe you need to take a step ahead and just maybe link your answer with a question to the program. We divide the questions into 3 sets. A set of questions for the residents during the pre-interview dinner or the virtual meeting with the residents during or before the interview day. So asking questions about how's living in the city, what do they like most about the program, what's the course schedule look like, what do they do to support each other or kind of recreation together. The other set of questions to be for the faculty, about their research interests, their subspecialty interests. What do they wish they can improve in the program, just a general perspective. And questions for the program director, what kind of mentorship available? Is there a formal mentorship? Is there career advancing mentorship, research mentorship? What does the program do to maintain the residents' well-being? Is there does it support them to have a work-life balance? How did it protect them during the COVID-19? And is there any expected changes in the next 5 years? And also we need to prepare for our points of strength. It's usually people over the internet, saying from 3 points to 10 points. Maybe you can take the average 5 points just for sake of consistency, because we usually have positive interviews. So we need to be focused on 5 points, our star and the things we excel in. These are examples for brainstorming, hard work, resilience, communication skills, teamwork, leadership skills, familiarity with the EMR, the electronic medical records, and the use of telemedicine, teaching and peer mentorship. I think this is the trend during the last year. Everybody was promoting how to seek mentorship and how we provide mentorship. And there are many classes like the one provided by Dr. Nader, the research mentorship and career advancing mentorship, and also virtual mentorship. Also, there's like peer mentorship we're doing with each other, like support and sharing our experiences and helping each other to cross our limits. And of course, the willingness to learn and acceptance for feedback. Also need to prepare for the answer, the question, what's our weak points? This question is just I added like kind of strategy for it. Like we like to have like an icebreaker for the question, like thank you for asking this question, or Dr. Nader once like mentioned we can start with like a light joke about like we are all full of weaknesses, and we can say like we can avoid saying my weak point is. I can say like something I've been working on or something I've been improving is. These are also examples for brainstorming, like delegating tasks to others, providing constructive criticism, asking for help, maintaining healthy work-life balance. And for this question also, we need to implement in the STAR format, which is the S for situation, T for tasks, A for action, and R for results. I set an example, just like it's a lame example, but like it's leading like to figure out like what the situation, like for example, during our internship years, there was long shifts, heavy patient loads, and we were learning a lot, but of course sometimes like we are overtaken by our duties and we forget to take care of ourselves. The tasks, like what were my responsibilities in my role during the internship year, 12-hour work shifts in the ER, followed by rounding on patients and case discussion. So of course, like I need to take some more steps after the to take after my well-being. You know, like actually that and I don't want that affect the quality of patient care. I want to make sure that, for example, what the actions I took: meditate for 10 minutes a day, reduce junk food, eat healthier food, improve sleep hygiene. And the results, the outcome for this is like in short term, I recovered my sense from the sense of burning out. I had better attention to patient needs and built greater rapport with my patients. Of course, this is a made up example. It's related to our profession, but of course, like this is for brainstorming. Okay. And we would like to ask a question like, what does the program do to ensure the well-being of the residents? Like, how does the program do for the residents to avoid their burning out during residency? The STAR format also is useful for like situation questions, such as how to handle adversity, describe a time where you had to deal with a difficult patient, how did you overcome a challenging situation at work. Also, the question about tell me about yourself. I think many people in the previous meetings were asking about how we can answer the question, and this is like a suggested answer from my friends that who advised me about it. Of course, we would like to start the interview with thanking the interviewers for their time and for the opportunity, and how it was wonderful to meet them on that day. A little bit about yourself, like your name, your medical school, year of graduation. If you are comfortable to share something like personal in yourself, like your family, your hobbies in one sentence. Share your current situation, like currently I'm a Telegeriatric Research Fellow at Michigan State University, and I'm interested in geriatric population. Of course, will be important part in the residency and the practice afterwards. The reason why you're applying for the specialty you're interested in, and why you're interested in this program just for one reason, like because of course you'll be asked this question during the interview anyway, and one or two strengths to the program you will bring to the program when you join it. I hope this is helpful. I hope that this helped every one of us to brainstorm about our answers for the interview prep. Of course, I expect everybody has their own point of view. You will share it together, and thank you all and good luck during the match. I hope we will celebrate our match this year in March, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. It was very great presentation. And I have a question for you, Sarah. As you had the interview last year, what is the time usually, or the range of the times that is conducted the interview?
Well, actually, it varies. I think they send interviews in waves. I had my interviews in my second wave in December and January, or maybe third wave as well. But I didn't have I had my interviews late in the season, one in December, one in January. But usually people, I've heard on social media, on the Facebook groups, people shared that they had interviews in the first week in the match. So it varies, depends upon many factors. I think it depends on if you sent emails of interest to the program. It depends on your score criteria and filtering criteria as well, how good and how strong your application is. So it varies, but it depends. I think these were two the main factors that influenced the interview. And good luck for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, Sarah. This is really also good, concise, and to the point tips and examples. So I agree with you, Sarah. If every one of you prepare according to your personal history or background, your experience, answers to the questions and practice of handling these answers. So hopefully in the coming days, weeks, you're gonna make 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or group discussion where you can practice with your fellows or with your other friends. They ask you the question and you try to come up with the answer. Just follow the tips as Sarah listed them. Try to be genuine. Try to convey yourself in a good way where you want to convince them that your answer is true, to the point. Use a smile. I like when you just mentioned to Sarah your question, you started with a little bit of short laughter. So when you are in stress, that will be very clear when you start talking. One of the tips to compare that or to listen that is by not laughing but smiling and try to make yourself at ease. One thing to remember is that they ask you questions so they can know you better, but at the same time you ask them questions to know that program better so that you will rank them. So everyone of you is a good candidate to any programs. If you believe in that, I think you can answer any question during the interview with the confidence that is needed. So do your best, practice, and I wish you all the best. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nadir. Then we can move on to the next agenda, which is the update regarding the projects. Anyone have any updates?
Hello, everyone. I didn't find the to raise my hand. I don't know where is it. To add something for to prepare for interview and all this period. So first of all, we have to avoid the stress. I know we are all stressed since the start of the season, July until maybe January. Until the match on March. So we have to make something like a strategy to avoid the stress, organize ourselves, our time, because we are working, we are doing we have family, so we have to organize ourselves, put like 1 to 2 hours daily to practice, because we cannot do it in one day. Like this day, for example, today I will practice for interview. No, we cannot do that. We have to put like 1 to 2 hours daily. We have to manage our time. Practicing, after we submit the application, we have to practice for interview daily until inshallah we have our interviews and we are all matched this year. We hope the best for all of you. And we have to know the exact or the proper time to send email. I think it is not good to send the email immediately after we submit the application. And this, I have question, like when is the appropriate time after we submit the application? When we can contact the coordinator and the program director. And good luck for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamadur. Dr. Nader, you can ask our questions, or Sumi Alubaba. We miss your voice today.
I will let Sumi, maybe your Alubaba to start, and I will comment afterwards. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Tamadar, that's a good question. I feel like basically there is, it's not to email program director at this point because everybody is, kind of stressed out. I would suggest like probably if any of us don't get any interview until second week of October, because they will not upload the application until second week of October. It is a lot of applications. So although this year they added the supplemental stuff, but still it will take at least 2 weeks to, get there. So at the meantime, probably if you're interested, some program, it's not a bad idea to email coordinator, but at this point, probably not program director. And another point I would suggest that I think I got this suggestion from Mulham last year. It's better to move email early in the morning, like let's say 7:30 to 8 or 7 to 7:30. So by the time when program coordinator, she opens her email by 8:30. So your email will be the fresh one. So she can start with her day with your email. It's better to avoid end of the day because they're overwhelming already to so much applications. So I can remember up to that, but gradually, we'll share our interview experiences and all that. As whatever Sarah suggested, there are two types of. I think some of the candidate they put on hold or waiting list. So that also you have a chance that you may get interview until January or even February. And the first week of February, I think we have to submit the rank order list by second week of February sometime. And even some candidate I heard, some of my friends also get interview until first week of February. And again, this time is also virtual. So I think practice is the only way. While we are practicing, it's better to practice virtually as well with your friends. So you will be more comfortable with the setup of the camera. And sometimes last time, I think they will send you you have to stay in the break room or something. And it's better to always check and initially that, do you hear me better? Do you see me well? Something like that start. And also it's stressful for them, it's stressful for us also, because anytime for the technical difficulties may arise. And if in between interview, if it happens, it's better not to be panicked, because we all are depending on technologies. That is nothing going to happen for your performance, because everybody can understand that anything can happen. And probably you are in a different countries or different part of the world where even power can off anytime. So I heard from so many of my colleagues and friends that when it's when there is interruption, they got panic, but that is nothing to do with their performance, and still they match. Even 2 times they disconnected from the, like, their conversation. So don't be panic if something happened like that. I think that's all, but yeah, I will share my more experiences while I go through the match and all these things. And good luck to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumi.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the great presentations and the great tips for the interview. My apology, I am multitasking, running around and joining the meeting. Regarding the timing for contacting programs, I echo what Sumi said. And actually, sometimes I think like it's better to look in the website and see when this program is starting interviews. And I think like within that period, if you contact them, they might be more aware of your email. There might be more cancellation from AMDs. As far as I know, they like have some kind of limit. I don't know with the virtual, previously with the traveling and cost and everything, people, they cancel some of the interview that already scheduled. So I think toward the end of October or the last week of October, after you see that the program already started interviewing, I think that would be a good time to contact them. And I can't agree more about the point that you send your email early morning. All of the responses I got previously, whether for job application or interviews of any kind, I usually prepare the email the day before and I put it in my draft ready to be sent. 7 a.m. in the morning, I will hit that send button, and usually I get a response within 2-3 hours. So that really confirmed that people, when they come fresh in the morning, they are more aware of the emails that came and more open to reply to that. I second the suggestion that we need to share our experiences and our practice. And I agree with Tamadur about managing our time and try to prepare early on and put in our mind we are going to get it. And I think something that I learned yesterday, something new to me, a growth mindset rather than specific mindset. Put in your mind all the time, you are open to learn, you are open to get opportunities. So I think this mindset will help us match, inshallah, all of us this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you, Alba.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tikarala.
Thank you, Baba, and thank you, Sumi. Yeah, good luck for everyone. And if you wanted to add anything, Dr. Nadir?
I think they covered the question where I think they gave good answer and good tips. So I think number one is to practice, prepare and practice, and hope for the best. Just as Rubaba mentioned, the mindset. Every one of you is good and will be an excellent match to the program of your choice. And so if you put that in mind, your answer will be you. Yeah, I mean, you try to convince them that I'm in charge of selecting you, not you are selecting me, basically. So just you look at the program from your point of view, where you want to rank them. What do you think about this program? Is it a good one for you? Is it number one for you? Number two, something like that. If you go with this mindset, I think you'll do fine. Thank you.
Best of luck to all the candidates applying for this season. And please remember yourself how far you have come, not just how far you have to go. And if there is no any question, then we can move into the next meeting agenda.
Actually, if people can help me, I'm going to share the screen with you guys about current research programs. So we have a couple of projects. I mean, so we have if we am with us and any of the team and the project, nursing home staff handling COVID, any update? I think.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Yes, the last thing we reached in this project is doing the phone calls and collecting the questionnaires. We started a little bit on writing, but we paused a little bit because everybody was busy with the application. But now we are in a stage of the writing the the steps that we took, and everybody should contribute to the editing of the writing too.
Excellent. Just for your team and everyone else that we want to work as well to be ready to submit some abstracts to some of the available conferences. So I like the idea that you already at some point working on writing. So if you collect the data, you can go ahead with that. Thanks for that. Yeah. I think Rupa sent me an email about the project 6, 7, and 8, and they are working on getting this submitted online. So we are up to date about that. How about Shayna? I think Shayna also you already submitted that.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so we are just waiting for them to respond, and hopefully we will be accepted. And then the next question will be how to prepare the slides and so forth. How about Selma? Is she with us now, or any of the team about project number 11?
Hi, assalamu alaikum everyone. We're still in the collecting the surveys. We have reached out to a couple of platforms. It's a little bit slow, but we're still awaiting responses.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Excellent. Thanks for the updates. So Sarah, I think we already submitted this, and we submitted to a different one. So we have to work on how we can improve that. So, Lubaba, any update about 13?
Yes, so presenters were going to be Azza, Sireen, and Tamarur. And I think it requires registration. We tried to register. I think there is a cost, so the least that we can, I think, try to register is about $20 for the students. We're just wondering for the presenters, it need to be like fellows or students will do.
So they require on the website. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they requires fees for registration. So each kind of credential or qualification needs a specific amount of money. For fellows, it's about, I think, 300. Residents, something between 300 and 100, I believe. And then the least one is $20 for students. So we don't know.
No, we will go with the least. We will go as you are doing as a student. So you are not. Again, we will go to the program. Our program is not accepting you as official fellows with MSU, like you have net ID and so forth. So you are doing your fellowship, yes, but at this time we will consider you as a student. So for the sake of the application and registration, so we'll go with that. So if as Tamado and Sireen, if you can contact me, we can work on that together so that we can get you registered. Excellent. Okay, thanks for that data.
You're welcome.
How about the slides and the PowerPoint and videos? Who's gonna do what and when?
So
discussed.
Most likely, yeah, no, we discussed it actually. Most likely after the submission of ERAS, the due I think October 4th. So we're gonna submit maximum was the 29th. Between the 29th and the 4th, we will work in the video and poster.
Sounds good. Just keep me posted if we can help and we can work together.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We did the webinars as done. Train the trainer. We can resubmit that, I think, or is Sarah, remind me, is it still under review? I got an email, but I'm not sure. But
Yes, Dr. Nader, it's submitted. It's actually resubmitted several times, but it's like the final submission has been like it's still under review, but no decision has been made yet.
so excellent. How about project 16? Any update from the team here?
Okay, for these projects, we start because we are so busy with this, our season. Yeah, but most probably we'll start in the next week, inshallah. Just we need your advice also, Dr. Nader, is how to start and what should we do and how the process, because this is my first time I conduct any research.
So that's a good one. So maybe we can get in touch. We can work on getting the ball rolling. So basically what we need to do, we need to look at one or a couple of forms that's available from any nursing home about the pain the last year, and we compare it to the year before. Hopefully we can get information and compare this. We can compare on either where the building or the nursing home with others, or the state with other state, or the country, the whole US. So we can look at that. So,
okay.
Okay, so in progress, I would say. Sumi, any update about project 17 or anyone in the group?
Yeah, actually I started, but again, same thing with my semester and everything, ERAS application.
Sure.
It's getting too busy, but what I mean, what I'm looking forward is probably second week of October, I'm going to email all of my colleagues that who is going to do what part, and probably by December I'm planning to submit.
Okay. Any new ideas or any new projects that we should share? I think an email from Ina. Copy also for Ina. Anyone of the Ina's any update?
Hello, Dr. Nader.
Hello, go ahead.
Regarding the myocarditis and vaccine, we have two abstracts. One about CMR finding and after the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine, and the other about the echo findings. We are planning to submit it to American Cardiology College. Just we need your credentials. Me and Sarah send you two emails.
Yeah,
yes.
I will update that. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone else wants to add anything or update?
Can you please, Dr. Nader, add me to the project for pain assessment?
Yes, sure. Excellent. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or ideas or wants to be added to any of the projects or team leaders? I want to make sure every one of you check with your teams and make sure everyone is involved in some way, shape, or form. Get involved in some of the projects. Abu Zar, so go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
I have an update regarding the suicide project. Yesterday, we have submitted 3 abstracts to the
NSRF.
Yeah, could you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I said yesterday we have submitted 3 abstracts to the National Suicide Research Foundation. This is a virtual seminar on suicide, self-harm, and mental health. We are waiting for the acceptance. We hope that. And yeah, that is the update regarding suicide project.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah.
You are so welcome. Wish us the best luck.
Wishing you all the best. That's good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Professor. Anyone else have any ideas about? I know it's time for you to be working on your application to get the program, so we will go easy. All right, maybe now, Anwar, if you want to help me and set up the agenda for next week. Any suggestions?
Next week.
So, Tamador, are you available to lead the meeting, or maybe someone else if you're not?
Yeah, I am available.
So, anyone wants to add or change this? So, I suggest that some of you might present something about how we can look at the residency program that we can choose, make the list, and how to go into their website, how to target, let's say, the faculty members, or see what's their interest, how to collect information from them, put it in your information list, so that when you have interview, at least you can come back and review that. Same with networking or finding some information about the residents working in this program, so forth. Anyone interested to do that? Maybe that will be helpful to share with others. And the second point or topic, maybe someone can help us work on getting the ranking list. So let's say you already have your list of programs, you apply to your programs, and then you had interviews in a couple of them. How, after each interview, what information you want to record, so that when it's time to run this program, you have your information ready, so that you will say, oh, this program is good, but the program director, I don't like him, or where, something like that, or the case, location, geographic location, weather, whatever. Anyone can help with that. Or if you have any other suggestions.
Afra, you can go ahead. I think you're raising your hand.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I have a question, not a suggestion. Maybe it's the last question about ERAS application. My question about grand rounds. I have attended the grand rounds. Can I add them with my ERAS application, or where can I add this? Where?
Definitely. So some of you might be attending, as you mentioned, the internal medicine grand rounds. Some of them might be interested in neurology, so they have different ones for neurology. Also, they have grand rounds. If you attended both, that also something you can mention. I'm not sure where you put it, but I think you can put it under education if you have a section where you want to put something about education. If not, you can add it to the clinical experience because you want to get an update about what's going on. So far, we have a couple of grand rounds in which medicine and neurology. So you can mention the topics if you want to, or you can just mention in general that you are attending Michigan State Internal Medicine Grand Rounds virtually with Sparrow Hospital. And these are done every other week. And if you want to get more details, you can add more, like it's 1 hour each, and the topics discussed this and this if you want to. So you can add this definitely if you attend anything you want to add that your CV. There is no big impact if you want to obtain the CME certificate. I don't think it will add much value. They want just to make sure you are updating yourself, and if you say yes, I attended this meeting, that's enough for them. Not sure if you can submit copies of the certificate. If this is a possibility, then maybe you can get a certificate printed out or save it as PDF and upload it to your application if that's the case. In any ways, it's not gonna harm you if you wanna submit it. The main reason for CME is after you become an attending, then the state or the regulation will ask you to verify that you have some, let's say, 50 hours of CME, something like that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions? Dr. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Actually, that reminded me about the ERAS application. In regards to virtual oral presentations, for example, last year we presented at AMDA and AGS. In the field, in the ERAS application, there is 2 required fields regarding the city and the town, despite both were virtual. How should we, what city we should put in there?
So you can put Lansing, East Lansing,
Okay.
Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan.
So we should, okay, we can refer to MSU and that, okay. So I will do the same, I think, for the future presentation as well. We recently found out that for the accepted abstract for poster presentation, actually we can put them as oral presentation. And again, it's going to be virtual just in the future date. Maybe by the time that we do the interviews, inshallah, we will be done with those presentations. So this is another thing that you will add to the team, because we had a lot of discussion regarding this area. Well, this is the most recent that we learned that we can put it as oral presentation or poster presentation. We're going to add an abstract to the presenter with our name listed for the authors. The other thing that I'm going to ask about is the order of the names in the authorship. Does that matter? We know that at this stage it does not matter, but if anyone in the team or Dr. Nadir knows how to write our names, sometimes we are not the first author, our names might be embedded somewhere in the whole citation. So any ideas regarding that or any professional way of putting our names? Thank you.
Thanks for all of the questions. So for the names, the order, as you said, at this time, as long as you are involved in a project or research output and form of publication and poster or oral or actual paper, as long as your name is there within the authors, that's the important part. In ERAS, I think there is no way to highlight your name. So you just put the list of all authors and your name will be somewhere there. If you are writing a CV in Word, then you can highlight your name, make it bold or something like that. But in ERAS, I think it's only text. I don't think you have the ability to highlight. I might be wrong.
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, so far I put my name the second in each one, so for easier to spot the last name of my name.
That's also a possibility. If you want to move it, yeah, to the second, that's also a possibility. I don't think they will mind switching your name around as long as you are working and you did the work.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
But for the future, when you are done with this and when you go to the residency, make sure you refer your name in the right process when you are writing your CV, and in the future when you, let's say, join a faculty position, because they are the one who might go back and look at that, and they don't want any conflict, even in these small details. But that's where in the future, so don't just
hopefully the near future. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I think Sumi has question, comments, and followed by Sarah and Abir.
Lubaba, your first question, for the city of the conference name, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, as Dr. Nadir mentioned, probably Lansing is a good idea. But another thing I checked for the AGS, like where was the meeting happened, although it was virtual, but they had an address, like where. So I put that city's name. I don't know, like, is that correct or not? And other thing for the co-authorship or authorship, I don't think so. Does it really matters? If you are the first author for that project, I think you can tell in the interview that I lead the project, and how you design the things, or if you conceptualize the research or abstract or your idea, was that your idea and your co-authors help for collecting data, or like, refining the search and all that, you can mention that. And if you are other than the first author, I think as long as you can explain them, like, what is this work about, that's all it matters. But it does not matter whoever is second, third, or even like the last author, you can still describe that, explain that, yeah, I did that project with my other peers or my other colleagues, and I was part of it, even if it is COVID related, because it is very hot topic at this time point. So I think whoever gets interview, and at least we should talk about it, and we all know all this, or we can discuss before the interview regarding our group, with our groups, that what we are going to talk about it regarding that abstract or that paper already published or manuscript or whatever. Even like the one Sarah lead recently, the Train the Trainer, I think that's also a good idea when it comes for the interview, that we can also explain that as we, of course, we considered most of us like old graduate, but like we try to improve our CV every time. But with the leadership of like one of the MSU faculty, Dr. Nadir, we are, Dr. Nadir designed that Telegeriatric fellowship for all of us, and we really improve our CV by presenting and by conceptualize different kinds of research. And we have literally more than 20 abstracts, including last year and this year. And some of them are, and multiple research projects regarding multiple topics, including COVID and geriatrics. Mostly it is related to COVID and geriatrics population. and which is like good for internal medicine and family medicine, because geriatric population are like mostly affected for COVID. So as long as we can highlight that, that's a good idea. Does not matter whoever is applying for geriatric or, I mean, applying for internal medicine or family medicine. I think all over the US, the geriatric physician is a very lack. So everyone is, if you say that at least at this point that we are interested in geriatrics, they will definitely encourage everybody, because all of us, because last year I think I when I mentioned that there, I mean, that was a good facial expression from the faculty that that somebody wanted to become a geriatrician, and they are asking, oh, there is literally very rare female geriatrician even. But next 10 years we will have lots of female geriatrics problem, but we do not have a physician to treat that. So I mean, either way you can, that's my experience, but I think either way it should not hurt, and like we should put all the abstract, whoever is in the project, we should put all the abstract and have an idea before the interview about that project, so at least we can talk about it and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So these are excellent points and tips. So I totally agree with you. For the first part, I agree with you, Lubaba. You can pick and choose your city for the abstract when it's virtual or because these forms were made for in-person presentations, and they did not think about virtual at that time. So in any ways, you can put Lansing, you can put if they have a city where the conference is supposed to be, or if you want to add the actual location, the city of the organization. Let's say AGS is in Washington, DC or something, then you put Washington, or in Florida, Jacksonville, then you put that as a city. I don't think it matters really. For the program, they want to make sure you just present it virtually, and you can mention that in the interview. As we mentioned, talk about what's the future like population you are interested in. Let's say in general you want interested in geriatric. What you can mention is that we know that about 150 programs for fellowship in geriatric in the US, and this number has been there for quite some time now. The total number of geriatricians in the past few years also remain around 6,000. So it's very, very limited number. And we expect that the general population to increase, all the population. So we need some people who are trained in how to handle geriatric population. So this is why I'm interested in your program and in the future to become one of those who are trained in taking care of older patients, something like that. You convince them that this fellowship is helping you and you have some background, some interest, some future plans to help with that. That I think will put you in a unique position when you are compared with other applicants. So it's just a tip. Thank you, Sarah, and then Abir.
Thank you, Dr. Nader, and thank you, Sumi. I totally agree with your inputs, and they are very helpful. Actually, I would like to share like my technique to highlight my name during the authorship. So I usually use the technique like the last name and the family name and the first initial of my first name. So it's Said S. But I make all the letters in uppercase, like all the letters in the name capitalized, so that like it some sort of stands out, because we don't have like the bold technique, the bold option in the application. As well, I would like to confirm something, like for the poster presentations, I did choose like the JAMA or the AMA research, and then I choose the state Illinois, and then in the city Instead, if I put the address, I just mentioned it like it's an online or virtual presentation, just like to make sure like it's not like in person. So I'm not sure if that's right, or think just like it's pure guessing. That's it, and thank you so much.
Sarah, for the tips and really appreciate your input. Go ahead, Javier.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a question regarding the telerotation. What is the best way to include this telerotation in our application if the experience was not include direct patient contact? Do we have to write externship, or exactly in the position what we have to write?
So let me just get your question right. Did you do virtual clinical round?
Yeah, I have two experience with telerotation. One of them include patient contact, direct patient contact, but in the other one, there's no direct patient contact. So I don't know how to describe this in a better way to add something to my application. If you have any suggestion.
I think if you describe that in the description, what exactly how is the setup of that rotation, how you interacted with the patient and various family member, and how you learn with attending, how you presented the case or discuss the plan. I think that's what's important as far as what you did and what you learned from the program director or the programs. They want to know exactly what you did and how that improve your skills, your knowledge. So it doesn't matter which one of these, as long as you want to put as much details as far as in the same way, just mention it now. So if you mention the first one, you can say this is a rotation where I encounter patients virtually. We worked on our history examination, and then I discussed the case with the attending, and the plan of care was discussed also with the attending, and then I presented that to the patient, something like that. All questions were answered. I discussed the plan in detail, something like that. So these are the things that they want to know about what the rotation involved. You can mention that you learned how to use tools. Did the rotation involve extensions like stethoscope, where the patient you can listen to their heart remotely, or no?
And one of them, no.
And the other, yes.
Yes. Yep.
So you can mention that. So you can mention that also during my patient examination. I use this tool where the stethoscope was used. I can listen to their heart, their lungs, their abdomen, and I can document that they have, let's say, murmur or no murmur, something to say to highlight what exactly you can do with virtual or remote examination. So all this, if you put it in writing, it will help the program understand what you did, how you did it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nader.
Thank you. It's interesting. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Abir, I have just one suggestion. I think you should emphasize that nowadays lots of visits are also televisits. So for a tele-rotation, if you do a tele-rotation, so you know you will have some experience for the televisit. There's the whole, I mean, you have to connect that things because it's not, I mean, medicine after post-COVID, I guess, the telemedicine has a future and we all have to prepare and adopt that. So it's a good way of selling your, selling your experience that you have some experience for the televisit. For you're preparing for yourself for the televisit for the patients. I think I'm not sure you'll apply for internal medicine or family medicine, but I mean, there is a great amount of chances that even family medicine, if there is a chronic disease and a stable disease, let's say management of hypertension, diabetes, and osteoarthritis and whatnot, most of the patients, even a small clinic and rural clinic, they're more comfortable in televisits. It's still like, it's still like a growing field. They want to come for only once in a 6 months for their blood test or whatnot, but other than probably it is going to be televisits more often if it is family medicine. If you planning to apply for family medicine, that experience is a good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Somi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Somi. And also I want to add to Somi's point, if during your rotation, if you have exposure to use EMR, EHR, the electronic medical record, also that's a plus. If you want to mention that, you can review the notes, you can add some notes, you know how to navigate the medical record. That also will have a little bit plus on your side. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Lubaba.
Okay, thank you everyone for the really great discussion and tips. Hopefully this is going to be my last question. So as all of us or most of us are all graduates and we have multiple experiences, I just want to hear the feedback regarding the length of your application. Did you get any feedback? For example, I shared my application with 2 or 3 different people, and some they suggested to simplify the experience, and some they asked me to add actually details about everything. So I end up having like maybe over 10 pages of the application. So if any of you guys got a feedback, or Dr. Nadir, what do you suggest?
So I will let people chip in.
Sure, thank you.
Any comments from the fellows? Feedback?
I can add something. I'm not sure that, but as Lubaba, as yeah, it is hard to coincide, because if you have like more than 10 pages of CV also, it is hard for a person to review actually. And so I think it's better if you apply for internal medicine or family medicine, whatever the experiences you feel the most valuable, you should concise that. And let's say family medicine, you should probably consider like, your experience from a, a community clinic, or some research related to a specific population, such as geriatric population, your volunteer experience like that. If it is internal medicine, probably your externship or your like, what is that called, it is not like observership, probably externship or like inpatient experience, you should focus mostly on that, in addition to some of the volunteer experience. And probably like if you planning to go for any fellowships, such as like oncology or cardiology, if you have any publications or research experience based on that, you can put it that. But geriatrics is for both, especially if a man I am, but other things like volunteer experience or anything like your job experience, I think it can go with both. So it's kind of, I think it's better. I would suggest that if it is concise and within more like 3 or 4 pages CV, I think it is better for the reader or for the reviewer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Somi. I appreciate that. You gave me an idea. Maybe I will limit the experience in the unrelated kind of stuff, maybe, and then focus more on the heavy experiences. Thank you. That's a good idea. But it was really frustrating to me. I was so happy that I put everything. And actually one of the people that asked me to put details was the program director. So I was like, who to go with, but that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I got that idea from my current, supervisor, where I'm working at University of Michigan. So he told me then when I applied for that job, it took him like, a lot of time to review. So yeah, so he, sit with me with my CV, and he kind of like taught me like how, what are the things I need to focus, and what makes him like, reading, like when a person read your CV, and then when he felt like, oh, it's too time consuming, what happened in between or in the middle of that like CV, he might quit and go to the next CV. So, if you like, that's not good for your resume, right? So it's like we most of the time, basically we write everything and anything. So that's why he told me like, do focus on the thing you are going to focus. Other than is very 10 pages CV is very hard to focus unless like you have 40 years of experience, then it makes sense. Probably you have 200 publications. So it makes sense to have a like 10 pages CV. So that's I want to share that one. Sorry, Dr. Nadir, to interrupt you.
No, I completely agree with you. This is good tips, and thanks for sharing your experience and the input. And only one point I want to add to your input for Lubaba. I think sometimes you might add some experiences that are similar. Let's say you did rotation in this and you did the same rotation few months later. If there is repetition, I think you can either delete that, or if you want to keep it, just mention one line. This will be the same like previous. Just you don't have to do the same extended explanation. Let's say you went to a clinic, you saw patients, you examined them, and you did the management plan and discuss that with attending and so forth. So you can mention all this in the first experience. If you did the same experience the second time, you can just mention, I did the same thing like previous, or see the previous answer or something like that. So that you can just, it's a one line. It's not gonna be 4 or 5 lines.
Mm-hmm.
Just thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone.
Any other questions? Any inputs? Anything? Go ahead.
Yes, same like Lubaba's question regarding the personal statement. How long should it be? Like how many words? How many pages? Because I have mine is almost over 1.5 pages, and everyone I asked, he told me that to short it down or cut it down to be just like 1 page. I don't know how to do that, but what is the perfect one to be? Like 1 page, 1.5 page, 1 page and 1 paragraph? How many words? 600, 700? If you could tell us about that, thank you so much.
So again, if anyone wants to add any comments or input, then I will follow.
I will just jump in. Yeah, I've been in your foot before, your shoes before. Actually, all of them, they suggested just 1 page. And make sure that you have the most important or appealing thing at the first paragraph, so the reader will continue reading the personal statement. Unfortunately, you have to do the best to make it 1 page. This is the advice I got it multiple times. And make sure the big stuff that you want them to know, put them in the first 2 paragraphs or even the first paragraph. And then if there is something interesting in the first paragraph, that will motivate the reader to finish the whole personal statement, but most of the time they don't. So I suggest 1 page.
Yeah, same thing. I suggest also 1 page, but I agree with Lubaba, but I would suggest like first paragraph and last paragraph has to be very the good one, because sometimes they skip the second paragraph. Imagine like if you have to read like 100 personal statement every day, you're not gonna remember everything. So they just want to say in the last paragraph like what is most of the time like we ended up.
I agree with Sumi and Lubaba. One page I think sounds like reasonable. And as Lubaba and Sumi mentioned, in the first paragraph, you need to catch the reader attention. So if you want to make it personalized but also catching, that will be good. In the second or middle paragraph, you may mention some stories to support your first paragraph idea. You can mention the clinical scenario or other scenario where you want to just highlight certain areas of the story and the quality or the things that you learn and push you forward. So these are the things that you can embed in the body of the personal letter, and then at the end you want to again highlight why you think you are a good candidate for that program, that qualities shine, and you want to sell yourself basically. Sorry, so it seems.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we do hear you. I mean, I can hear you.
Yes,
I don't know about the other.
We hear you.
Me too. I can hear you.
Anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do, Dr. Nader.
If you can hear me, just go ahead and someone else. Okay, so basically, yeah, you want to finish the last sentence of to highlight a good thing about yourself so that they can see you can fit to their program, basically. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. Thank you, Lubaba and Sumi.
You're welcome.
Okay, no questions so far in the chat box. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay, then we can go to the next agenda for the next meeting. And thank you all on best of luck.
So I think we can confirm this if Kamado and your team can identify someone who can present the first topic and someone else second topic, maybe a couple of people if they are interested. And then we will see you next week. Thank you everyone for showing up and for contribution. Thank you for your effort, and I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nader.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Nader. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, all of you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.